you're looking at one of the most successful accidents in corporate history. But here's what they don't tell you. Post-it notes were supposed to disappear. The scientist who created them, he was trying to build the world's strongest glue. Instead, he made the weakest one possible and got laughed out of every meeting for 5 years straight. This is the story of a failure that stuck around. But before we peel back the layers of this sticky mystery, quick favor, if you love stories where failure becomes fortune, tap that like button. It helps more curious minds find these hidden chapters. Now, let's rewind this tape. Right now, as you're watching this, someone just stuck a post-it note on their monitor. Maybe it says call mom or a meeting at 3, somewhere else. A detective is mapping a murder investigation with yellow squares on a wall. A novelist is rearranging plot points on a window. A teacher is leaving an encouraging note on a student's desk. The numbers are staggering. 3M sells over 50 billion post-it products every year. That's roughly 6 notes for every human on Earth annually. They're in 150 countries. Offices buy them by the crate. They've become so embedded in modern life that we have a verb for it, post-iting. But here's where it gets strange. This empire exists because of 2 accidents. One stubborn choir singer and a scientist who refused to accept that his experiment was a complete disaster. The adhesive that makes post-it notes work? It breaks every rule of what good glue should do. So how did the worst glue ever created become a billion-dollar idea? Let's go back to when this revolutionary product was just yellow paper that nobody wanted. April 6, 1980. 3 meters launches post-it notes nationwide in the United States. The marketing team is nervous. They've already failed once. See, a year earlier, in 1979, they tried releasing this product in 4 test cities. The result? Nobody bought them. Store shelves collected dust. Marketing called it a catastrophic flop. Executives wanted to kill the project entirely. Why would anyone pay money for paper with bad glue on it? That was the question customers kept asking. If I want to stick something, I'll use tape. If I want to write something, I'll use regular paper. But then 3 meters tried something desperate. Instead of selling post-it notes, they gave them away. For free, thousands of samples flooded Boise, Idaho. The entire city became a test lab. Secretaries got them, executives got them, teachers, doctors, accountants, everyone. 2 weeks later, something extraordinary happened. People started calling 3 meters asking where they could buy more. Not just a few people, 90% of the sample recipients wanted to purchase them. The phones wouldn't stop ringing. I can mark pages without damaging books. I can leave notes that don't need tape. I can rearrange my thoughts on a wall. They discovered uses 3M never imagined. The product didn't need better marketing. It needed people to actually try it. Once they did, they couldn't stop using it. By 1981, Post-it notes were one of 3M's top 5 products. By the end of the decade, they'd become an office staple worldwide. But this raises a bigger question. Who creates a note with removable glue and thinks, yes, this is exactly what the world needs? The answer involves a frustrated church singer and a scientist's garbage can full of failed formulas. Meet Art Fry. He's a chemical engineer at 3 meters, but on Sundays he sings in his church choir in North St. Paul, Minnesota. And every Sunday, he has the same infuriating problem. He marks hymns with little slips of paper so he knows which songs they're singing that day, but the bookmarks keep falling out. He opens the hymnal, the bookmarks on the floor. He scrambles to find the right page while the organ plays. It's embarrassing. It's annoying. One Sunday in 1974, mid-service, it hits him. What if I had a bookmark that would stick to the page, but not permanently? The next day at work, he remembers something. Years ago, 1968, to be exact, a colleague named Spencer Silver had invented an adhesive that everyone said was useless. Spencer Silver. Let's pause on him for a moment because his story is heartbreaking. In 1968, Silver was trying to create a super strong adhesive for the aerospace industry. 3 meters wanted something that could bond airplane parts together. Something permanent, unbreakable, industrial grade. Silver was experimenting with acrylate copolymer, microspheres, tiny molecular structures that would create incredibly strong bonds. He mixed the compounds, heated them, tested them. The result? The weakest adhesive anyone at 3 meters had ever seen. You could stick two surfaces together, then pull them apart with almost no effort, no residue, no damage. You could stick and unstick the same surfaces multiple times. It was reusable, removable, repositionable. For 5 years, Silver tried to convince anyone that this failure had value. He gave seminars across 3 meters, he demonstrated it in labs, he cornered people in hallways. But Spencer, they'd say, what's the point of glue that doesn't stick? He didn't have an answer. He just had faith that somewhere, somehow, this adhesive had a purpose. Here's what's beautiful and frustrating about innovation. Silver created the solution in 1968, but the problem Fry's falling bookmarks didn't reveal itself until 1974. 6 years of rejection. 6 years of being called a failure. 6 years of people thinking Spencer Silver had wasted company time and resources. The adhesive was waiting. It just needed someone to ask the right question. When Fry remembered Silver's failed glue, he didn't ask, what is this good for? He asked, could this solve my problem? He coated bookmark edges with Silver's adhesive. That Sunday, he opened his hymnal. The bookmarks stayed in place. When he needed to remove them, they peeled off cleanly. No torn pages. No residue. Perfect. But here's where the story gets really interesting. Because Fry didn't invent Post-it notes as bookmarks. That came later, almost by accident number 3. While developing these bookmarks, Fry needed to mark sections in a report he was sending to his boss. He wrote a question on one of his experimental bookmarks and stuck it to the page. His boss wrote back on the same sticky bookmark and returned it. Wait, stop, go back. His boss wrote on the bookmark. They were communicating through removable notes, not permanent memos, not taped messages, something in between. This wasn't about bookmarks at all. This was about communication. Fry started sharing his prototypes with colleagues. Soon, people across 3 meters were leaving each other messages on these little yellow papers. They'd stick notes on doors, desks, reports, phones. The notes would stay put until you wanted to move them. But getting them to production? That took another 3 years of problems. The adhesive kept sticking to the manufacturing equipment instead of the paper. The notes would fall off if they got too hot. They'd stick too strongly if they got humid. Every solution created a new problem. Fry built a prototype machine in his basement. His neighbors thought he was losing his mind. Here's this engineer building industrial equipment next to his washing machine, coating thousands of little yellow papers with bad glue. 3M executives still weren't convinced. In 1977, they approved a limited trial, but with minimal budget. The marketing team called them Press and Peel Notes. The name was terrible. The packaging was worse. Nobody understood what they were for. Remember that 1979 market failure we talked about earlier? This is where it happened. 3 years of development and the product died on store shelves. Imagine being Spencer Silver in that moment. 11 years since he invented the adhesive, everyone said it was useless. He finally found someone who believed in it. They developed it into a product, and it failed anyway. But here's the twist nobody saw coming. While Post-it notes were failing in stores, they were wildly successful in one specific place, 3M's own offices. Secretaries in Richmond, Virginia were hoarding them. They'd request boxes and boxes from the supply room. When supplies ran low, they'd call headquarters begging for more. 3M's internal demand was so high that production couldn't keep up. The same product that consumers wouldn't buy was so addictive to people who actually used it that they were forming waiting lists. That's what led to the Boise experiment. If the problem wasn't the product, but the marketing, if people just needed to try them, then give them away. Flood an entire city with free samples and see what happens. 90% repurchase rate. That's almost unheard of for any product. Ever. It meant the product wasn't the problem. It never was. The problem was that you couldn't explain Post-it notes. You had to experience them. So let's connect the dots from beginning to end. In 1968, Spencer Silver accidentally created an adhesive that failed at being glue. For 6 years, it had no purpose. In 1974, Art Fry needed a bookmark that wouldn't fall out of his hymnal. He remembered Silver's failure. While developing bookmarks, Fry accidentally invented removable notes. In 1979, those notes failed in the marketplace. In 1980, they succeeded by being given away for free. Today, that failed adhesive generates billions in revenue. It's launched thousands of spin-off products: Post-it flags, Post-it tabs, digital Post-it apps. Entire productivity systems are built around sticky notes. Spencer Silver's useless glue changed how we think, plan, collaborate, and communicate. Here's what I love about this story. Silver never gave up on his failure. For 6 years, he championed an adhesive that everyone said was worthless. He didn't know what it was for. He just knew it was for something in Fry. He didn't see a failed experiment. He saw a solution waiting for the right problem. The next time you peel a Post-it note off a pad, remember, you're holding a failed experiment. You're holding 6 years of rejection. You're holding proof that the worst version of something can become the best version of something else. Sometimes innovation isn't about getting it right the first time. Sometimes it's about refusing to throw away what everyone else calls garbage. If this hidden chapter made you see failures differently, smash that like button and subscribe for more reverse histories where accidents become empires. Drop a comment telling me, what failed product do you want me to investigate next? The cassette tape? Bubble wrap? Velcro? These stories are everywhere. We just have to peel back the layers. See you in the next chapter.